That classic scenario you always hear about. Iran threatens to shut down the Strait of Hormuz, and suddenly the entire world's on edge. It's a huge deal. But what we're about to dive into, well, it makes the Strait of Hormuz look like a tiny little traffic jam. Seriously, think about that. Forget a single strait. Imagine an entire ocean. One of the most vital waterways on the entire planet just goes dark. It sounds like something from a movie, right? But digging into this question uncovers a really terrifying truth about our modern, connected world. So what would actually happen? Well, the numbers alone are just staggering. Let's start with energy. 40%. That's how much of the world's entire offshore petroleum supply passes right through the Indian Ocean. In an instant, a massive piece of the global energy puzzle is just gone. But believe me, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And for one country, well, for China, this would be beyond catastrophic. A full 80% of its crude oil imports sail across these very waters. A blockade here isn't just an economic headache for Beijing. No, it's an existential threat. It could literally strangle their entire industrial machine overnight. And we're not just talking about oil here. We're talking about $10 trillion in global trade brought to a dead stop. This isn't just numbers flashing on a screen in a stock market crash. This is the real physical movement of everything, from cars to iPhones to food, grinding to a complete halt. You have to understand, the Indian Ocean isn't just a patch of blue on the map. It's the world's economic artery. It's the superhighway that connects Europe with Asia, Africa with the Middle East, every single oil tanker coming out of the Gulf, every cargo ship packed with goods from China, every single food shipment headed for East Africa. It all goes through here. Shutting it down is like putting a clamp on the planet's main supply line. So what's the first thing that happens? The price of oil. And we're not talking about a slow, gradual rise. We're talking about a global shockwave, $200 a barrel almost instantly. The global economy as we know it would simply break. And that triggers this awful cascade of chaos that reaches every single one of us. This isn't some distant political game. First, with fuel prices going through the roof, airlines ground their planes. Then, factories from Germany to Japan start shutting down, totally starved of resources. Before you know it, the shelves at your local supermarket start to go empty. And for countries that depend on food imports, the result is absolutely horrific: famine in a matter of weeks. Now, the world wouldn't just sit back and let this happen. You'd better believe the United States would immediately scramble its massive naval and air force from its base at Diego Garcia, which sits right in the heart of the Indian Ocean. China, facing total economic collapse, would almost certainly have to consider a military option. You'd see emergency sessions at the UN, of course, but what could they really agree on when the world's biggest powers are on a collision course? Probably not much. But here's the biggest, most important twist in this whole story. The country pulling the strings, the one imposing the blockade, wouldn't be safe. Not at all. In fact, it would be an act of economic suicide. While the world suffers, India's own oil imports get cut off. Its exports are dead in the water. Its currency, the rupee, goes into an absolute freefall. In a game like this, nobody wins. So you see, trying to weaponize a shared global highway like this, it isn't a demonstration of power, it's an act of mutual destruction. It's basically a suicide pact on a planetary scale. To really get why this is, we need to quickly talk about this idea called the global commons. Think of it as the parts of our world that don't belong to any one country, like the high seas, the atmosphere, even outer space. They're shared resources for all of humanity, and they only work because we all cooperate. And that right there is the fundamental lesson here. In a world as tightly connected as ours, no one nation can hold a global commons hostage without completely crippling itself. The whole system is built for everyone to use. If you attack it, you're also attacking yourself. It's like sawing off the branch you're sitting on. The freedom of the seas isn't just some old, historic idea. It's what modern civilization is built on. The moment one nation decides the ocean belongs only to them, well, that's the moment the whole fragile system that keeps all of us going up in flames. So while we spend all our time focused on these narrow little straits, maybe the world's most dangerous choke point isn't a small channel of water at all. Maybe it's the entire ocean, a huge, stark reminder that our greatest weaknesses are hidden in the very systems of global cooperation we so often take for granted.